Hello, welcome to Learn, Do, Become Radio. My name is April Perry, and here at Learn, Do, Become, we help people who are overwhelmed by the details of life to create simple systems so they can do what matters most. If you want to get organized, if you want to wake up excited, go to bed content, you're in the right place, and we are so happy to have you here. Today, I'm talking about being hungry for change. So if you clicked on this podcast, I'm guessing that's how you're feeling right now. I'm going to be asking you a couple of questions and sharing a couple of resources and things that I learned from my own experience being hungry for change. And I hope that today's podcast gives you a lift and perhaps a new perspective, just some things to think about that will support you. I will explain more at the end, but if you're listening when this goes live, right in early January of 2025, we are doing a special 4-week STEP Momentum Accountability Group to help people build their system. We call it a STEP Command Central, and get it all done with bite-sized assignments, an awesome group of people to help support you along the way. And you can find out about that at learndobecome.com/momentum. Okay, let's dive in. So as I was preparing this podcast, I actually had a different podcast I was going to publish, which will probably come next week, but it's an updated version of Create Your Year. I love the concept of creating our year, and this is partially just perspective and partially goal setting. And then we also have resources for Create Your Month, Week, and Day. I did this last year, and so or maybe it was 2 years ago. But anyway, if you go to the show notes page, you'll be able to get links to everything that you might want. And inside our Arise membership, this month, we're doing Create Your Year Live. So I'll have some free resources coming out next week, and then in a couple of weeks in our Arise membership, we're going to actually go through it together. We have some additional resources that we'll be discussing, and it'll be a fun conversation/workshop where you can actually get things done with peers in a really positive way. But the thing is, as I was getting Create Your Year ready, I wanted a little more time because I wanted it to really be like exactly what I wanted. And I just thought, you know what, let me just come to a little heart-to-heart today with our Learn, Do, Become community and talk about this concept of being hungry for change, because I've been going through a lot of this lately, and I'm actually feeling very optimistic and grateful because the things that I was hungry to change now are actually changing, or they have changed. And it gives me a lot more confidence. And I just want you to feel the same way. And you've probably had experiences where you've been hungry for change and then you made change. And that's awesome. So you can come share your stories in the comments, and let's strengthen each other and participate in this together. So for many years, I feel like I would not have described myself as hungry for change. I would say I am patient for change. I'm a very patient person for the most part, and or maybe I like to think I'm patient, but I would often wait for an external circumstance to change so I could then have the ability to change. Like, for example, when we had a lot of little babies, little children at home, I had 3 preschoolers for a while. And then when Spencer was born, Aaliyah was just about 8. So we had 4 children, 8 and under. And, life was busy and happy and cute and chaotic. But I knew, once they get a little older, once Spencer starts kindergarten, once Aaliyah can drive, once all these things happen, my life will just feel a little bit more calm. So I felt like I'm okay being patient for change. And I think there is a lot of power in that. If right now you are being patient for change because you can see that you're in a temporary situation, maybe you're going to school, maybe you just started a new job, maybe you just moved, maybe the people in your home are transitioning to different stages of their life. So if you are right there, I think it's great to be present in the moment, to recognize the good that's around you, and be patient, knowing, all right, a lot of this will change as we go, and it will happen naturally. I don't have to do anything about it. Now, I think that is great as long as you're still able to thrive during that situation. If you're able to adjust your expectations and set things up so it's healthy for you and your loved ones, awesome. The problem is that sometimes we end up in situations that are not healthy, and we think that change isn't possible. And so we just deal with it. So I have a couple of questions I'm going to ask you, and then I'll go into a couple of hopefully solutions or perspectives or resources that could be beneficial for you in your circumstance. Question number 1, is there anything you feel anxious, angry, or discouraged about that you feel like you can't change, but you are hungry for change? Now, because you're here at Learn, Do, Become, and we talk a lot about organization and getting out of clutter, maybe right now you feel like your life is always going to be cluttered, or you'll always feel overwhelmed. And I understand that. I used to feel stressed about tasks constantly. I mean, from the time I was a child, because I didn't grow up with order, like we just didn't really have a structure. I didn't have a bedtime. I didn't have cleaning jobs. I didn't know how to declutter. I just lived in piles. I just didn't have that. I had lots of love, but I just didn't have that structure. So when I got my first planner when I was 13, and every year I always get excited for New Year's Day because I'd get my new planner out and I would write all my lists, but my shoulders were tight from the time I was 13 until I was maybe 28 or something, 29, when I learned how to do the things I teach here at Learn to Become. When I read the book, Getting Things Done, and I created this STEP program, then my shoulders finally were able to be calm. But for years, I just had these tense shoulders, and I would hold my breath, and I was just stressed a lot. I was hungry for change, but I didn't think change was possible because I thought I was doing everything that I could. And if right now you are having some of those feelings and you're like, yes, that's why I'm listening. Let's go, April. I just want to share a thought from the book called Building a Non-Anxious Life. And I think this applies to anger and discouragement, despair, any of those feelings you could add in. But one of the things that was emphasized in this book is that anxiety is there for us. It's the fire alarm saying that something is on fire. And when we ignore it or sedate it, we aren't putting out the fire. So if you are feeling panicked or stressed or worried, or you find yourself feeling angry a lot, most likely there's a really good reason why that's happening. And so I really appreciated, I think it's John Delaney, I think that's the name of the author. But I really appreciated that book because as I was listening to it, it helped me think, okay, if I'm feeling anxious about something, I really need to look more carefully at where these fires are, because most of the, quote, fires that are in our lives, especially for the people who are here at Learn to Become, who are very conscientious, who are taking care of families, who are the people from the outside, it looks like you don't need any support because you've got it mostly together. So no one's trying to help you. They're all just like trying to get you to help everyone. So you don't have a lot of support. But if you are having feelings of anxiety or anger or some discouragement, most likely your fires are invisible to the rest of the world. And that's really hard because, yes, if your house actually caught on fire, which hopefully won't happen, but I know it does happen sometimes, your neighbors and friends and everyone would want to come see you. Or I had a dear friend who went through chemotherapy when she had breast cancer, and she lost all her hair, and she was, bald and going through her life doing things. And her husband wrote this beautiful blog post about how you deserve to be bald. And I think that was the title. And it sounded kind of weird at first, but basically he said, while she is bald, people can actually see what she's going through. Like she's getting love and sympathy and people being more aware of her because they can see that she's just gone through something really hard. And he actually appreciated the fact that other people were able to be there to emotionally support his wife. It was this beautiful blog post. And I've thought about that so much because if I came into your life right now, chances are you look like you're doing just fine. Sure, you might have some messes or piles or, you might have thousands of emails or, there might be some stuff that's around you that you would like to clean up or clear. But for the most part, you're probably hanging in there. You're keeping the bills paid, you're keeping people fed, you're showing up for things, you're, calling your mom or your siblings, like you're remembering birthdays. You probably have your life together pretty well. But is there a fire? And a lot of times I end up with hidden emotion. That's something I've been learning as I've been doing cognitive behavioral therapy, where I get these like little rashes that'll pop up on my arm or something like that. And whenever I get one of those, I'm like, okay, what's on fire? Like, what is it that I am stressed about? Because it's so often it's subconscious. So I just encourage you to ask yourself that question. And just 2 examples for me from last year. One was my health. I've talked about that on the podcast quite a bit over the years, but it was specifically my sleep apnea and stomach aches, or like these food reactions I've had for years. I went and had, like, back in 2020, I started having like horrible stomach aches and cramping and just started getting really sick. And I went to all these doctors and had all these things tested, and everyone was telling me that I was fine. Anyway, it was really hard. So I was dealing with that. And then the sleep apnea, for a long time, I used a CPAP, which I hate using a CPAP because it's like I can't turn over and I'm moving the hose all the time and air is like blowing out the side of my face. And I feel like I'm this monster laying in bed with this big contraption on me. Anyway, I did get a dental appliance, which maybe you don't need to know all these details. But anyway, that has helped me. So now I can actually sleep more deeply. It's better, but it's still not great. And so sleep apnea has been a big one for me. And then those food reactions and stomach aches. On another topic, I also have had a hard time setting boundaries while working from home, especially since COVID, because before, when our children went to school all day, and then Eric and I would have time during the day to actually get work done. But ever since COVID, and as our children got older, and then we have one child still at home, Spencer, and he's wonderful. All our children are wonderful, but this last semester, he had 3 online classes, and then he would go to school for 2 hours one day and 4 hours the next day. Then he had a work schedule, but it was really sporadic, and so sometimes we'd think he was working and then he wasn't. And so and every day it was A day, B day, A day, B day. So I didn't know, and Fridays I get out at noon. And anyway, it felt more like I was running a preschooler schedule with the 2 hours a day rather than a full day. And because I love my children and I love being a mother, and I consider my work as a mother to be more important, and my work as a wife and mother to be more important than anything else that I do, when my family is around me, I just prioritize them. When my kids wants to drop by, I prioritize them. Our daughter FaceTimes, I want to prioritize her. And I get to see our grandson, and it's so fun because he's only awake for certain hours, or, I want to do that. And I think that's wonderful, and I love that I have the flexibility to do that. But what's happened is then I would have expectations, and then I wouldn't. Expectations to get work done or just have some quiet time. And then with all of the different things happening and the dog needing me or whatever, I just felt like I don't have the time to do my creative work, which that matters to me. So the boundaries were just super hard for me. So those were 2 things that I was really struggling with. And some I'm still struggling a little bit with. But I thought that change wasn't really possible. I was hungry for change in both cases, but I just didn't know how to do it. So that was just question number 1. Question number 2. If the world depended on you solving that problem, not making someone else change, but making it so that you didn't suffer the consequences anymore, what would you do? And I love this question because so often where we are patient for change, or we're like, oh, it's fine, I can get by, that's great. But if we actually did want to solve this, if we're in problem-solving mode and we're thinking, okay, if the world depended on it, I could figure it out. And so that's what I want us to think about. The reason I ask that question is because in most cases, there is either a change we can make in our heads or a coach who could help us. And when I say coaching, that doesn't even need to be a really high-cost coach. It could be a book checked out from the library, or a free podcast that's available, or a video channel or something. There's all kinds of free stuff available to all of us. And a little side note, when I was stressed and overwhelmed way back, in the day, and when I read the book Getting Things Done, that totally changed my life. That was a book I had checked out at the library. I hadn't even bought it. So free resource, changed my life. And so that's why I love what we do at Learn, Do, Become, because literally that's what we're doing. you have a challenge, you have something you're hungry to change, you have a problem, if you can learn and then put into action what you're doing, you're going to become that better version of yourself or that calmer version of yourself or whatever it is that you're looking for. So now that we've kind of asked those questions, hope you're not feeling all stressed out about it, but let's talk about a couple of possible solutions. And then I really would love for you to come to the show notes page and leave a comment. I read every comment. I get so excited when someone comments. And so if you want to share another resource or perspective or idea, I would just love to have some conversation on this. So resource number one I want to share, it's the Feeling Great app. I've talked about this a couple times before, but honestly, this is so good. I want to tell you why. Feeling Good is the original book that Dr. David Burns wrote years ago, and it's like bestseller, millions of copies, help people to overcome depression in just a few weeks. Like it's an amazing book. Then he has multiple books, Feeling Good Together, When Panic Attacks. There's others, like 10 Days to Self-Esteem. He has a bunch of stuff he's put together and written and done. And he has a podcast called Feeling Good. Then he recently published a book called Feeling Great. And so I would probably start with that book if you're brand new to Dr. David Burns. But then they just released the Feeling Great app. And he has a YouTube channel if you want to check that out as well. What I love about the Feeling Great app is I have done cognitive behavioral therapy I've done maybe 5 sessions or so over the years. And I love it. And working with a real person is great. And it's often just helpful to have a real person talk to you. However, if you're like, oh, the time and the money isn't going to work for me right now to actually sit down with a cognitive behavioral therapist, this app is the next best thing. And so it works with AI, but essentially you get to just type in or speak to it, dictate what your problem is, and then it takes you through this 4-step process that is so easy and it's so great. And the more you do it, the more you feel like you don't even need the app because you start learning how to just think in healthy ways. Right now, I'm paying an annual fee for the app, but they have a 7-day free trial. And also when you go to pay, they say, we want this to be available to everyone. So if you can't afford it, then they have an email address where you can contact them and they'll give you free access. So if you are having any mental health issues, or you just want to feel mentally stronger, or you're dealing with anger, hopelessness, despair, depression, whatever, there's no reason you can't use this app to help you through it. And it's so good. So I just want to share a little example of why it was so good for me today. So today, as I'm recording this, is New Year's Day. And I had all these ideas of things I wanted to do today, like different things I want to do for work, to talk about our new Step Momentum starting January 8th. I'm so excited about. I had social media posts I was going to do. I was going to record that Create Your Year podcast and finish up the template. And I had just all these goals. And Spencer had an activity with a friend and then he was going to work that night. So I'm like, great. And Eric had all the stuff he wanted to get done. So I was so excited. I just thought, I have a full day of just quiet and I'm going to sit and I'm going to work. Well, then I went to sit down to work and Spencer's friend had canceled. There has an issue. So now he didn't have anywhere to go in the daytime. And then he was just kind of hanging out around the house. But then I wanted to spend time with him. But then I wanted to work. And then Eric was working on some stuff. And then he had some challenges he was dealing with. And anyway, I felt like I now can't work because I am so frustrated with this situation and it's New Year's Day and the library's closed and I have nowhere to go and I'm sitting in this house and I was just getting frustrated and I felt like I'm just going to not work at all and I'm just going to go watch TV or something. I don't know. I was feeling kind of sorry for myself and a little frustrated. I know that's totally a first world problem and I acknowledge that, but still I was feeling that. And so what I did is I opened up my Feeling Great app. It's a little heart if you're looking for it on the App Store. And I typed in my problem and it was, basic. I'm feeling frustrated because I'm trying to work from home and I have all these people who are here and grumpy or making noise or whatever. I don't know. I was totally making a big deal out of it in my head. Anyway, we went through, and it helps you identify your negative thoughts. And then at the very end, you start taking a hit. You're trying to hit those negative thoughts and get rid of them. And so we did something that is called the externalization of voices. You get to pick your method. And so I picked externalization of voices. And my thought was something like, it's other people's fault that I can't get my work done. It was something like that. And so then this is what the AI said. It said, let me think about that. It's true that the negative energy around me makes it harder to focus, and that's been really frustrating. And then in parentheses, it says acceptance, like it's teaching you it's okay to be like, yeah, that's frustrating. I'm accepting that. But blaming someone else entirely for my lack of productivity isn't fair or helpful. I still have the power to take small steps toward what I want, even in challenging circumstances. And then it put in parentheses, defense, like how you're defending yourself against a negative thought. I can still do stuff. Just because no one else is in the house doesn't mean now I can only watch TV. And then it continues and says, what's really stopping me? This negative voice in my head, constantly feeding me excuses and dragging me down. Enough already. I'm done letting you call the shots. You can take a back seat while I figure this out. And then it put in parentheses, counterattack. And I loved it. After I read that, I'm like, I'm done. Okay, seriously, thanks for calling me out, AI. And so I thought, you know what? I'm just sitting here. I can put in headphones and turn on some nice study music, and I can at least get started and do some of this. I don't have to get everything done. I can be flexible. And so anyway, that's just an example of how the AI works. And I'm just a big fan. And the thing is, I've talked to several people who are kind of complaining to me about things. And I said, hey, why don't you try this app? And then no one ever does. They're like, oh, yeah, I downloaded. I haven't done it. I'm like, okay, will you please just do it? Because it might take 45 minutes the first time. Now for me, I can get in 5 minutes. I'm okay, great. I got it. And I'm off to the races. So anyway, Feeling Great app. I just have to tell you, that's going to help at least be able to figure out when you're hungry for change. If you're going through something, if it is a mental game, you're going to be able to solve that. And it's so good. Okay, number 2 is hiring a coach. So I just want to talk about 2 experiences I've had just the last week in hiring a coach, which has made a big difference for me. First of all, with my health, I really had wanted to feel better for years, but after going to all the doctors and no one was able to help me, and then I kept thinking, oh, I'll just figure it out, and I would try all these different foods, and I would read different books, and listen to different podcasts, and I was just feeling super frustrated. And there were a couple people I was following on social media who offered coaching programs, but I was like, I'm an independent learner. I really don't need a formal program. I'm pretty good at just doing things on my own because I'm very, self-motivated. But because I was in the same place constantly, I thought, okay, I need to do something different. So last year, I hired a coach and joined a formal health program. And last year was probably the healthiest year of my life since I've had children. And I wasn't sick, other than perimenopause and womanly stuff. I wasn't sick for the whole year. I haven't had one sick day. Not even a cold. I haven't had anything. I felt so good all year. And my stomach issues went away within the week. They helped me find the right foods for me. I just felt so good. And so as long as I stick to that plan, I'm great. I feel amazing. And then this year, I thought, you know what? I want to continue with this. I've made so much progress in the past year, but my program came to an end. I didn't want to do the same program again, but I found someone else who had been following and thought, okay, I'm going to start this program and do it. And it's so great. And I am able to there's the coaching program where I have the texting access. So I'm texting this person and pouring out my heart. And it's kind of an emotional thing for me because there's so many layers of things I feel I need to sort through and talk about around my health. And this person is able to respond to me. It's not instant texting, but it's every day as I need it. And so it's just been so, so good. So sometimes like getting out there, and when you pay for something and you commit, it makes an impact. It changes. Another story is Eric and I have wanted to play the guitar for years. We just always talk about the guitar. I took 2 semesters back in college, and then I've carried my guitar around. We've moved 10 times, and I've taken it with me every place we moved. I've always had the guitar. And I've played, sometimes I can play Eensy Weensy Spider, and I can play 8 chords, maybe. I'm not great, but I can play a little bit. But I'm not very good at the guitar. And Eric just recently got his own guitar. And so we wanted to actually play together. So at first I thought, well, I could just do like YouTube lessons. And then I thought, well, maybe I should get some guitar books. So I went and checked some out in the library, and I found some I liked, and then I bought the book. And then it's been sitting next to my guitar, and I played it, I think, twice this year. And then that's all. And so anyway, we had a friend of ours tell us about this new guitar program. And so we went and bought it, and we got it's a membership, but we just went and got the lifetime access. We're so excited. And we wanted to get it during the holiday break so we'd have time to actually sit and practice. And so today, Eric came out of his office holding his guitar, and he's like, "Did you say you wanted to play the guitar today?" I'm like, "Yes, I did." So we both went and we opened up our guitar cases, and we got them tuned, and we started this course. And we learned this little blues sequence during the first lesson, because he's like, "I want to help you learn to play something right away so you feel excited." So Eric and I are playing the blues on our guitars. And it was so fun because we have a coach who taught us the proper posture, and I realized I was holding the neck of the guitar wrong the whole time, and so I learned how to do that. Anyway, it was so fun because we finally invested in coaching. So I'm not saying this so that you'll pay me to be your coach, but I am saying I want you to invest in yourself if you truly are hungry for change. Now, right now, if at Learn to Become you are hungry for change, and I promise this isn't like a commercial, but I am telling you about Step Momentum because I think it's awesome and I believe it will change your life. If you want to be part of our Steps to Everyday Productivity program, that's to help you to get organized. So we're going to help you build a system. It's build, process, maintain. We take you through the 6 modules to clear your space, to build a command central, to learn how to gather your stuff, to learn the processing, then to do weekly reviews, and to progress through the use of awesome projects. We'll teach you project management. So this is not rocket science, but it is a new way of thinking because most people don't know it's possible to have a calm mind. And when your mind is calm and organized, then your space becomes calm and organized. So it's awesome. So that's what we do in our STEP program. And then in our Rise membership, I kind of like that to be if you're already organized, because if you're really overwhelmed and you come into a Rise, it might not help you as much as if you're organized first. I mean, you can come into a Rise. It's not a prerequisite to have your command central built. But anyway, that's just what I recommend. But coming into a Rise, then that's where we help you to wake up excited and go to bed content, because you're going to take these new skills on how to be organized, and we're going to help you learn how to apply that to your environment, to your relationships, to your health, your finances, your relationship with your higher power, your purpose. We're going to go through these topics. We take 1 a month, we rotate through. So each topic we touch about twice a year. And I love our Risers. They're like our best friends online. We have so much fun together, and it's an awesome community where we're there to strengthen one another. And I want all of us to be able to wake up excited and go to bed content. But I do want to encourage you, if you're you're on the fence and you've been trying to make changes on your own, whether it's us or there's someone else that you think's a better fit for you, I just encourage you to invest in yourself. Because if I think, you know what, the money I would have spent on some new shoes or a new dress or, I don't know, all the random things that we buy, if I don't buy those things and instead I invest in education, coaching, training, things that can actually help me change, it's just going to leave me in such a better position. And so I just love being part of this community. I'm cheering you on. I'm a fellow traveler. I still have things I'm working on. I mean, you can hear me today, all the stuff I was cranky about and the things that I want. I know I don't do everything as well as I could, but who does? Does anyone do things as well as they could? Like, we're all figuring out our potential and moving forward. But I just encourage you to be able to think about your situation. I don't want us to be hungry for change and never have that satisfied. I think being hungry for change is so good because it indicates that we see there's potential, there's something better for us. We don't have to sit and wallow in frustration, and that we can make these steps to progress in our lives. And personally, I feel that I have a higher power that is helping me know how to make these changes. And it's just been amazing lately because I went back through my journal entries from the last year, and there were just certain times where I was just writing down things that just seemed so hard for me and I didn't know how to get out of. And through the grace of God and the blessings that have come to my life, I've been able to get out of those things. And when I start waking up really excited and going to bed content, sometimes I feel a little guilty because I'm like, should I be this happy? Like, this is so good. And I believe that each one of us can have joy, even in the midst of circumstances that might not be ideal. So all of the links to everything I've talked about today we'll put on the show notes page. And then if you have any comments or things that you want to share and contribute to the conversation, we'd love to hear it. But I'm cheering you on. Again, if you want to join our Step Momentum, we start January 8th with a kickoff call. We'll send the recording if you can't come live. But then you get text or emails like 3 days a week. We have accountability posts in a Step Mastery Facebook group. And then we have a graduation ceremony at the end of it. So you get to go through, you know what you're doing. You can ask questions, get the answers you need. It's like so fun. We did it once before, I think it was September, and people were just getting such great results and posting their certificates at the end and their pictures of their Command Centrals, and it was so fun. So anyway, okay, that's the party happening soon if you're listening when this goes live. We love you. We're grateful for you. Just come to the show notes page and you can find all the links that you need. Okay, take care. We'll see you soon at learndobecome.com.